my channel. So today's video is a first because this is my first ever winter get ready with me. I've made some get ready with me in the past and I love making them, but I've never made a winter one before, so this is just perfect. But rather than having a full-on glam, bold lips, bold eyes, I decided to focus on more of a natural look with a little bit of some bold lips. Rather than going with a solid bold lip, bold eyes that I see a lot of, and as beautiful as those tutorials are, I decided to switch it up and bring out those natural tones that the cold is going to bring out in us. Also, I have to apologize if you guys notice me talking a little funky or that my chin and my cheeks look a little swollen. It's just because I had a procedure done on my mouth. I had to get my wisdom teeth out, and that's why I might be sounding a little funny, got a little bit swollen cheeks, but you know what? That ain't holding me back. So if you notice any of those funky things, I apologize. That's just life right now. So I did already moisturize my face, and now I'm going to go in with my OC face primer. You guys have used this, like, I think since I started making makeup tutorials, honestly. I use this thing all the time. It works wonderfully. I love this to pieces, and you really don't even need that much. So we are just going to squirt a little bit on the back of our hand. Okay, and on our shirt and our jacket. So I'm just going to be dotting this on my face using my finger to blend it in. So now I'm just going to be using my Lorac Perfection Foundation in the shade PR2 and squirting that on the back of my hand, and then using my finger to dot this all over my face, and then we're going to go in with the Beauty Blender to blend it all out. Then I just like to use the excess on my hand and bring that down my chin and my neck and then blend that out so we don't have one cut off of our color from our face to our neck. Remember that one time where I said I really wanted the Anastasia Contour Cream Kit? Well, I got it on Black Friday. I couldn't help myself, you guys. I had to just get it. And I really like it, so we're going to be using this to highlight and contour our face. And I'm going to be using the MB10 brush to highlight. And I first like to start off with the very first color right over here, and this one is Soft Light that I'm going to be using. So we're going to start making triangles under our eyes, on our forehead, and our chin, and a little bit above our lip. So again, don't be afraid to make these triangles under your eyes big. It's okay, we really want to brighten that area of our cheekbones. So make sure you make this line down here pretty far, and then we're just going to drag it straight up to our temples, and then just kind of color it in from there. So now we're going to focus this on our chin a little bit, and I'm actually going to be using a whiter color to highlight my nose. Now also when I do this to my forehead, I try to blend it with the brush. If you notice, I made pretty straight lines just because I want a sleeker cut to my cheekbones. But on my forehead, I just kind of blend it with my brush, and then I'll make it easier to blend out when I use my Beauty Blender. Okay, so now we're done with the highlighting area using the Soft Light color. And now we're going to be using this white color right here, and this is in the shade Luster. And I'm going to be putting this on the top of my nose. Now it's time for the contour, and I'm going to be using my Morphe 458 brush. And I'm also going to be taking this color right here, which is just Fawn, and I'm going to start applying that under the hollows of my cheeks, but I have to be super careful because I am pretty fair and these do come off a little bit darker. So if you are a fair person, I warn you, be careful as you do this because it does tend to be a little bit dark, especially for us fair people. Now notice how I don't make my contour very thick. I find if I do that, then my face looks really, really bad and it actually makes it really, really hard to blend. So I choose to go lighter on my contour, but of course you do whatever you want to. If you like a heavier look, heavier contour to your face, then you do you, girl. But I'm just going to stick to a very light contour today. I'm also going to put a little bit on my chin to define it a little bit more. And I'm going to put this under my cheekbone. So yes, still on the cheekbone line, but we're actually going to focus it just a little bit more to create more of a shadow and define that jawline just a little bit more. I like to put little dots rather than lines on my forehead because I think it's easier to blend and it's not just a huge harsh line on the top of your forehead. And we're going to be using the same brush to contour our nose a little bit. So here's when the tricky part comes in, because this is no longer just foundation where we can just blend as we please. We have to be very conscious of what areas we're blending because we don't want to mix both the contour and the highlight together. So I suggest that you blend from your highlight first and then you move out to your contour, because if you start blending them both at once, I find that it doesn't blend as nicely and it gets a little bit splotchy and it's not as smooth. So focus on your highlight first and then move to your contour. So once that I think my contour and my highlight is blended to my liking, I'm going to be using my NYX finishing powder and a foundation brush and apply that under my eyes, a little bit on my forehead, my chin, my nose, all the areas that I highlighted. And then I just use the excess and kind of brush it on the rest of my face. Now some advice I can give you when applying your blush is to go a little bit lighter than you usually would. Just because it is winter, it is a little bit colder, so your face is going to become naturally a little bit more flushed, a little bit more pink, and if you put the normal amount of blush that you usually put on, you might come off a little bit pinkier than you'd like to be. So just be careful about that. So now it's time for the brows, but I'm going to do these off camera just because, girl, you know how much of production brows are. So I will be right back. So we back and we better than ever. Not really, because your girl is still swollen AF, but that's fine, we good, we good. So next I'm going to be using my eyeshadow primer by Urban Decay in the shade Sin, and apply this all over my eyelids, but of course, focusing it on the inner corners. Like I say every single makeup tutorial. So we're going to be applying this on the inner corners of our eyes, just using our finger, and eventually bring it all over the eyelids. Now I'm going to be using my Urban Decay eyeshadow in the shade Midnight Cowboy, and just use my finger again and apply this on the inner corners, and of course bring it out to the eyelid. So now is when the funky step actually comes in, because I'm going to be applying some blush into my crease, and this one is actually the Corte Rosa by Sigma, and I'm also going to be using my Sigma E25 crease blending brush to apply that inside my crease. So we're just going to be applying just the slightest bit in our crease, focusing on the outer part and of course bringing it in just so we don't have that really harsh line. So now I'm just going to be using a crease blending brush to define that color a little bit more. Also, when you're using your crease blending brush, don't apply any more color to the brush. Just use what you already have on your eye and blend that out. Now I'm actually going to be going back in with my Bare Minerals bronzer in the shade Skinny Dip and my crease blending brush and apply this on the outer parts of my eyes to help define it a little bit more without adding too much color. So you guys actually know that I don't use real eyeliner. I prefer a dark eyeshadow to real liquid liner, gel liner, whatever. It's way easier to work with, it looks way more natural, and I prefer that look over a harsh line. And if you mess up, it's super easy to fix. So I'm gonna go do my eyeliner and I will be back in a jiffy. So I forgot to apply my highlighter, but I'm gonna do that right now. And judge me if you want to, but I have been using my nude collection by Pure Cosmetics in the shade Macadamia for my highlighter. I know it sounds crazy, but it actually works really, really well, and it stays on all day because it is eyeshadow. So I'm going to apply that on the cheekbones and a little bit on my nose and call it a day. Also, the brush that I'm using for my highlighter is by Sigma, and it is the tapered highlighter brush in F35. Now it's time for the mascara, and I have been using the Lorax mascara, but I've actually been really bummed out by it. I like a lot of their face products, but I really can't recommend the mascara. It doesn't really do much, the length isn't that great, and it's just overpriced. So I've changed to Lancome's Definicils and Estee Lauder's Sumptuous, and I mix them together and they look killer together. So I like to start with my Lancome Definicils first, and this really helps with the lengthening. And so I start with this and then I use my Sumptuous on top of it. So now it's time for the lips, and I'm going to be using my Kylie Jenner lip liner in the shade Dulce K and apply that on my lips, and then I'm going to go back in with my Tarte lip paint in the shade TBT and apply that on top of my lips.